Hello, welcome to the Summit 1 Unit 9 Histories Mysteries web class. Let's start. Today we are going to talk about indirect speech with models. We use indirect speech to tell someone else about what we have already heard from another person. Let's see the following situation from direct speech. George said, "I'm lonely." If you want to to tell somebody else about what George said, we use indirect speech or reporter speech. Example, George said that he was lonely, or George told me that he was lonely. Generally, when we use indirect or reporter speech, we are usually talking about the past. Indirect speech with models. Look at the changes that occur from direct speech to indirect speech statements. Example, my brother got me a gift. This is direct speech. Let's go to the indirect speech. She said that her brother had gotten her a gift. Let's figure out, fill in the blanks. Question number 1. In the example, what does the verb got backshift to in indirect speech? Excellent. Yes, the change is to past perfect. Pretty good. Number 2, in the example, what do my and me change to in indirect speech? Excellent, yes. We are going to change it to her and her. Number 3, in the example of indirect speech, which word is optional? Excellent. Yes, the optional word is that. As far as you can see, when we talk about indirect speech, is for making a narration about what someone else said or an event, a past event. So, as we are talking about generally past events, we are going to change the tense we are using from present to past, from past to past perfect, and from past perfect, from future to would. Look at the examples of models that backshift in the indirect speech statements. I'll be there by 6. Indirect speech. I said that I would be there by 6. As far as you can see, we changed the auxiliary will for would. Okay, next one. You must come on time. Indirect speech. She said that they had to come on time. So here we are going to change must for had to. That is the same but in past. You have to pay in cash. Indirect speech. They told me that I had to pay in cash. Look at the examples. Look at the examples of models that don't backshift in direct speech statements. So they don't change. For example, could, would, might, should, ought to. Figure out, fill in the blanks with the correct form of each model in indirect speech statements. Number 1, can. Excellent. The answer is could. Number 2, will. Excellent. The answer is would. Number 3, would. Excellent. The answer is would. If we are using the auxiliary would, it won't change in the indirect speech. Number 4, may. Good. The answer is might. Number 5, might. Yes, that's true. Might won't change. The answer is might. Number 6, should. Yes, that's right. It won't change. The answer is should. Number 7, ought to. Excellent. This is one of those that doesn't change. The answer is ought to. 8, have to. Excellent. Yes. It has to change to the past, so the answer is have to. Number 9, must. Yes, that's right. In the past, it has to be have to. Pretty good job. Let's go to the next image. Look at the examples of perfect models in indirect speech statements. Example given. We must have forgotten. Indirect speech. He said that they must have forgotten. Figure it out. Check the correct statements. A. Perfect models never backshift in indirect speech. B. Perfect models usually backshift in indirect speech. Which one is the correct? That's true. Perfect models never backshift in indirect speech. Warning. In indirect speech, pronouns and possessives change in order to preserve the speaker's meaning. Example, my mother got me a gift. She said that her mother had gotten her a gift. Next example. Never forget we are using British English. That's why we use gotten instead of got. Perfect models in the passive voice for speculating about the past. Look at the statements using models to speculate with different degrees of certainty about the past. Passive voice is used when the focus is on the receiver of the action or when the performer of the action is unknown. Example, when we are not certain, the dinosaurs might or may have been killed by a meteor. The trees could have been destroyed by a fire. The gold figures might not or may not have been lost. When we are almost certain. Example, the stone balls must have been moved by animals. The drawings must not have been discovered until later. When we are very certain. The crater had to have been caused by a meteorite. The trees couldn't or can't have been burned by a fire. Let's see that, of course, as it is passive voice, we are going to have, first of all, the auxiliary from to be. Here, might have been. That's our auxiliary. And the main verb is going to be all of the time in past participle, as far as we can see in here. Let's check the structure. Okay, here we are, the verb to be, and here we have the main verb in past participle. Okay, so as far as we can see, our verb is all of the time going to be in the form of past participle. Here the verb is this, moved. Okay, discovered, caused, burned. Meanwhile, we can see that the part that is going to set what is the tense is verb to be. Could have been, might not have been. Of course, we are going to talk about not only the tense, but also about the structure. In this case, we are checking if it is affirmative or if it is negative. The verb to be, the auxiliary, is what is going to show what is the tense and what is the structure. Had to have been, okay. Couldn't or can't have been, that's our auxiliary, and later on the verb. Okay, now let's figure out. Match the perfect models in the passive voice with the meaning they express. Number one, have to have been. Okay, that's true. It is going to be used when you are very sure that something is true or correct. Number two, might have been. Okay, that's correct. It is going to be used when we are not sure that something is true or correct. And finally, yes, must have been is going to be used when you are almost sure that something is true or incorrect. Excellent. Very good job. Okay, now let's clean the screen so that we can move up to another one. Okay, here we go. Okay. Let's continue talking about the perfect models in the passive voice for speculating about the past. Look at the questions and short responses with perfect models in the passive voice. Is it possible they were killed by a meteorite? Here we say that they may have been killed by a meteorite. Do you think they were made by hand? Here, the relations is with they couldn't have been made by hand. Next one, I wonder if they could have just been lost. We could say that they have to have been lost. We can do different combinations about it depending on the certainty that we have about the events. Figure it out. Write short responses to the question. Use the word in parentheses in the response. Could they have been stolen? Okay, let's write an example. Using couldn't, we could say they couldn't have been stolen. Okay, let's go to another one. Let's work with might. They might have been stolen. All right, pretty good. Now let's use must. They must have been stolen. Okay, as far as we can see, we are going to use in here the auxiliar, the modal auxiliar, with verb to be, couldn't have been, and later on our verb in the past participle form. Again, modal auxiliars of to be, and finally the verb in past participle, and once again the modal auxiliar of to be and the verb in past participle. Okay, let's go for another image. If you have any doubt or if you want further information, here we have some pages that will be very useful for you for practicing about this topic. Okay, let's erase the last exercises. Good. Okay, so here we have another page that it's going to be very useful for you in case you need more information. Okay, let's go to another image. Okay, let's talk about something different. Now we are going to use adjectives with the suffix able. Let's read the definition. A suffix is a letter or a group of letters that is added to the end of a word to change its meaning or to form a different word. Here the source is Merriam-Webster.com dictionary suffix. Okay, now in order to use this suffix, here you have a tip. If the stem or the main part of the word that comes before able or able is a complete word in itself, then the ending is nearly always able. A simple test is to take away the suffix. Does the word still exist as an English word? For example, able as an adjective. Readable. And the word remaining when the ending is removed is read. So, yes, it exists. Read and readable. Readable is something that you can read. Acceptable, it comes from the verb accept, and it is something that you can accept. Okay, here we have treatable. That was a little mistake. Treatable, and it comes from the verb treat. It means something that you can treat. Let's go to the next. Changeable, and it comes from the verb change. Changeable is something that you can change. Okay, now here we have dependable. That is something that you can depend on. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, now we are going to use adjectives with the suffix able again. Let's complete the continuum with words from the box. What is more true and what is less true or untrue? Okay, so very true is probable. Okay. Next one. It is something that is believable. Okay, very good job. Let's go to the next. More untrue is something that is debatable. And finally, the really untrue one is something that is questionable. Okay, probable, something that can be proven. Okay, here. Believable, something that you can believe. Debatable, something that we can debate on. And questionable, something that we can put under doubt. All right, let's erase these words and later on let's go to the next image. All right, now we have finished. Thank you for watching this video. We hope it has been useful for you. If you have some more doubts, contact your tutor or your monitor. Don't forget to work with the exercises in the activities in the platform. Meet you at the conversation class.